I went ahead and went live a few minutes early. I was so excited I couldn't wait. Also, I wanted to make sure that I had the StreamYard set up right and that it would actually go live. So, welcome to the first live stream of Living My Best Life. I don't know where to even begin. This has been my YouTube name for quite some time. And now that they're giving away the community tab, community page pretty regularly with any channel, I was faced with a decision. Should I do something with this channel? I do have a channel called Chloe the Chiweenie, which is my dog's channel. Yes, I have a companion dog named Chloe, and I made her a page just for fun. And I post videos of her, pictures of her, and then also some dog information, different things to help people, with getting dogs and raising dogs. So anyway, I thought about it for a while and I said, the one thing I would like to do is to try to help people deal with the loss of things in their lives. Now, I've been through quite a bit in my life, and I have dealt with loss of a lot of things, a lot of opportunities, a lot of people. I've had heartbreak, and I want to be able to help other people try to heal themselves. Now, I'm not a believer in time heals all wounds, so don't misunderstand me. Grief of any kind takes as long as it takes. For some people, that may not be very long. For other people, it may be a lifetime or the rest of their lifetime. So what I would like to do is I would like to build a community of people who are broken, who have been broken, who have faced all the horrible, horrific things that life can throw at you and survive to tell about it. They say when you can tell your story without crying, it means that you have healed. I'm not so sure about the complete healing. I know that with my story, I have changed. Not sure I would say I've healed completely. But the person I am today is not the person I was each time tragedy struck in my life. I believe that all people continue to grow and learn and change over time. I have a little history of the losses I've encountered, presentation to show you, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Some days, I don't know how I'm still standing. I don't know how I'm still living. And yet, here I am, living my best life. And I truly am living my best life now. The best life that I've ever had in the past 59 years. And that I may ever have, ever. I continue to learn and I continue to heal. I continue to take time for myself. I continue to learn how to love myself. And all of these things help me to become the person I am truly meant to be. Whew, I'm nervous. I have so much I want to say. I was hoping I would have some viewers tonight. I know it's a brand new channel. I know that I haven't really even announced it to the world yet. I was in a creators chat the other night, and I did get them to drop my link, and a couple people did come over and subscribe. So I was kind of hoping maybe some of them might come, or maybe just because it's Friday night and not that many people are live right now, that maybe someone would see that I was live and just come and check it out and give it a listen. But so far, that hasn't happened. But I'm not discouraged. I'm not doing this for me, and I'm not doing this to be monetized and make money. I'll never ask you for money. I'm doing this because I believe that the healing grace I have received in my life can only be multiplied if I give it away. And to me, that means sharing it with the world, letting the broken people of this world realize that you may be broken, but you still have value. You still have worth. Let's go ahead and do the history, the lost history. Let me add that. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Welcome to Living My Best Life. What are your struggles? Know that you are not alone. Open your heart and mind. What major life events have you faced? Death of a loved one, trouble finding the right job, loss of friendships, trouble connecting with people, a romantic breakup, a divorce, narcissistic relationships with a spouse, parent, or child, childhood trauma, chronic illnesses, parenting issues, children with disabilities, mental health issues, caring for your parents. I have experienced the following: narcissistic mother, chronic illnesses, being the fat kid, being the middle child, death of my best friend at 14, death of my father at 18, a narcissistic, abusive boyfriend, career change, infertility, multiple surgeries, long-term marriage that ended in abrupt divorce, debilitating injury, job loss, loss of medical and life insurance, becoming disabled, and living my best life now. This is my lost history. Please don't feel pity for me. I have faced each of these issues over my lifetime, and I have survived. Not only survived, but I am living my best life now because I have learned how to grieve and how to love myself. I want to share my process and tips on how you can also survive all of your life hurts and live your best life too. As we heal, we can help someone else to heal as well. We gain understanding of ourselves as we listen and help others. You can email me at 0821peace@gmail.com if you're not wanting to share your story publicly. on the web or on the channel. If you would like to have a conversation, we can do that. And we can do that through email or over the phone. My main objective in this channel is being able to tell my story and being able to heal by sharing what I've been through and the things that I've done to help heal myself. I also want to help others. I want to show people there is a way, there is someone who's interested in their story and willing to help them to live their best life. I'm excited, y'all. I am so excited and a little nervous, but I just want to help people. I really, truly do. I know I went live early, and it's just now 9:06. I'm going to go ahead and play these videos again, and hope some people come on in. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that we'll get a few people in here tonight. I know it's going to take time to build this community, and it will take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get this up and running. But I do feel there's a need on YouTube for this kind of channel. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I have no medical training as far as that goes. What I am is someone who's been through a lot of hurt and loss in her life and is living her best life now. I want to help other people to heal from their hurts and realize that you can go on and you can live your best life. My father passed away when I was 18. For many, many years, I couldn't enjoy my life. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't have fun because my dad was dead. His life had abruptly ended. He had lung cancer from asbestos. And back then, over 30 years ago, 40 years ago, over 40 years ago, it wasn't known as well known as it is today. And so there was no fund to help anybody. There was not very much research that was being done on it. He basically, from the time he knew the tumor, which it's a very slow growing lung tumor in your lung cancer. But by the time he knew the tumor was there and it was physically large enough to cause him issues, it was already too late. Within 3 months of having his lung removed, he was dead. Now, he had radiation, he had chemotherapy and surgery, and yet none of it was able to save him. And when he did pass away, he had cancer in every organ of his body, in all of his systems, his blood system, his nervous system, his brain, his spinal column. He was paralyzed. It was a very hard, devastating death for him to go through. But he was a hopeful man. He was going to beat it. He was going to fight. And there were 3 of us kids. My brother was 12, I was 18, and my sister was 20. And he was putting on a brave face for all of us. And he was going to fight it, and he was going to beat it. And he was going to do everything the doctors told him to do. When my father passed away, the man I saw laying in the hospital bed looked like he was about 90 years old, in the fetal position, bone thin. My dad was a strapping, good-looking 50-year-old. I actually had to move the sheet and look at his tattoo on his forearm that he had gotten as a young man in the Army to know for sure that that was my dad. How could God let my dad suffer and die like that? I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. I was angry at my mother, my siblings. No one could understand. It was devastating to me that my dad had died. It took me a lot of years to realize that had he never lived, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a life. And for whatever reason, God called him home. He is no longer suffering. And I know people always say that when someone experiences a death in the family or a close friend. But it's true. I watched him suffer. He suffered and he fought hard, and he lost his battle. So my sister and my brother and I finished growing up without our dad. My dad is still with me today. He'll always be with me. I carry him close in my heart. He was a wonderful man and a wonderful father. I have some of the best memories of my childhood because of my dad. Anything good come out of the fact that I lost my dad at 18? The time I would have said no, there was nothing good about it at all, and that I would never recover. I would never heal from that hurt. And then my mind would drift to the times and the memories I had with my dad, and I would realize that all the things I needed from him, I already had. He had already, in the short time he was in my life, he had already put that foundation down and had already instilled in me a belief in God and an understanding that people do die and that they're no longer in pain or suffering. They're happy. They're with all their loved ones that have gone on before them, and they will be there when we pass on. So, it took me a lot of years to know that I'd be able to ever laugh again, ever enjoy my life and have a good time and be able to talk about my dad. But as you can see, I can tell you all about my dad and not shed a single tear because I know where he is. He's not gone to some abyss where I'll never see him again. I believe he's in heaven, and I will one day be reunited with him. I have another story of loss, and actually there's one that I didn't put down, as it happened when I was 4 years old. I had a baby sister that passed away when she was 3 weeks old. My parents had also lost 2 other children prior to me being born. But I remember my mother being pregnant with my baby sister, and they bought us new dolls for us to be able to take care of our dolls as Mama took care of the new baby. And I remember even at 4 years old coming to the realization that we had our new babies, but Mama didn't have her new baby. And then 2 years later, when I was 6 years old, my little brother was born. And that seemed to right the wrong of us losing my little sister. We now had my brother. But I forgot to put that in my history of loss because I was so young, and it wasn't until I was reading over that history that it dawned on me that I did experience loss at a very young age. Now, I've lost my grandmother. I've lost aunts, uncles, cousins. Probably other than my dad, the other person I lost that hit home the hardest was my best friend when I was 14. We lived in a subdivision, and a new subdivision. They bought their house. My parents bought the house we grew up in when I was 9 months old. When I was 2 years old, I had pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. And while I was in the hospital, my mother became friendly with another parent whose child was also 2 years old and in the hospital with pneumonia. And his name was Steve. And little Stevie and I became pretty close friends. Over the years, he had an older sister. I had a younger brother. He had an older sister, and I had an older sister, and we both had younger brothers about the same age. Our parents lived in the same community, attended the same church. They were best of friends. It was a perfect situation. I grew up knowing that I loved Steve and that I would marry Steve one day, till that tragic Sunday afternoon when a gun accident took Steve's life. I say gun accident because two teenage boys were looking at the one boy's father's rifle. And after they looked at it, they were upstairs in the friend's bedroom. Steve was at the top of the stairs. The friend said, "Okay, give me the gun back. We need to put it up." He took the barrel in his hand, swung the gun around to his friend. When his friend grabbed the barrel or the butt of the gun discharged. The bullet ripped through Steve's chest, through his heart, through his lung, threw him down the flight of stairs, and he was dead. Yeah, a lot for a 14-year-old to go through. Needless to say, his family was devastated, as was mine. I was beyond belief. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I went to the funeral home for the wake, and I took a chair and set it right next to Steve's coffin. And as people came up and paid their respects as they would walk away, I would scold him and tell him, "This has been, gone on long enough. It's a bad joke." He was a jokester, a pranker. He used to sit in church and sit behind me and throw the wax from the communion candles at me to see if I would react. After the funeral, I went to school, and we attended the same middle school. And or were we in high school by then? 14 might have been ninth grade, 15, 16. Anyway, every time I'd turn a corner, I expected him to jump out and scare me. I fully expected him to sit up in the casket at the funeral and say, "I got y'all." It was a bad joke. But that didn't happen. So I know I'll see Steve again, and I'll see my dad again, and I'll see my favorite aunt as well. And I'll see that baby sister I never got to watch grow up, and I'll also meet my other brother and sister that have passed on. So you could say I'm not afraid to die, but I'm afraid to leave my family behind. I have a beautiful daughter and granddaughter and son-in-law, and I am afraid to leave them behind. But I may have to one day, but not anytime soon, because right now I'm all about living and living my best life. I've told you a little bit of my story tonight. I want to hear your stories. I want to know what you've endured and what you've come out the other side of. If you can tell me your story, then you know you've healed. And if you can't quite tell it yet, hopefully the tips and information that we'll provide on this channel and the mentorship and the companionship of people on this channel, we will help you continue your healing process and your healing journey. And life is but a journey. We all have things to overcome, and we will overcome them. Not overnight, not all of a sudden, but one step at a time. You get up every day. You put one foot in front of the other. You may not even feel like being around people, and that's okay. I remember that feeling, that isolation. That if I didn't have to talk to anybody, if nobody had to say, I'm so sorry you lost your friend or you lost your dad, if I didn't have to take their condolences, then I could pretend it wasn't real. But it was real. I've had some other issues in my life, and we'll get to all of those over time. Wow. I've had a couple people pop in and pop out. I'm not sure if they're people that are already subscribed to my channel or not, or if they're just surfing YouTube tonight and decided to give it a listen. And as they listened, they became more depressed and left. Oh, I do not want to depress people. I want to lift people up. I want people to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you too can live your best life and live your best life now. Please email me at 0821peace@gmail.com if you'd like to have a conversation, but not on the public platform. If anybody is watching, leave me a comment in tech or in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you like the live presentation, or give me a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Please visit my page. I've got a few videos on there. I've made a few community posts. I'm pretty new to all of this, and I'm hoping that it will give me joy and happiness to try to help other people. Hi. I don't know if you were here and left or if you're new, but welcome. Welcome to living my best life. And yes, I am living my best life because I've learned how to grieve and overcome loss through the years of my life. And now I'm able to see my best life and live it. I'm not sure I like this, not knowing who I'm talking to or if I'm talking to anyone, not knowing for sure if anyone is viewing this. But again, I'll say it again, I'm not doing this to make money. I'll never ask you for any money or to support any cause I may be interested in. Money is just a tool people use to get through life. I myself don't need a lot of money. I live a very simple, satisfying life. As long as my bills are paid and my basic needs are met, I'm pretty content, pretty happy. But I've had my time of working and having a career and making money. And now it's my time not to do those things. But I want to help other people find their best job, their career, to go for that opportunity, move across the country for that new job, that new adventure opportunity. It may be wonderful, but you may have a little loss to deal with because of it. You might leave your friends or your family behind. You'll leave your hometown, possibly where you grew up and where you know every back road and every business that's there. Now you take on moving to a new state. Oh, I should have added that to my lost history. When I got married, when I was 23 years old, the day after our wedding, which was a very small church wedding in the church I grew up in, we moved from Indiana to South Georgia. I had only known my husband for 6 months when we got married. But we were young and we were in love, and the world was our oyster. Well, when we got to Georgia, funny thing was, we didn't know anybody. We only knew each other. And my life was pretty boring for a while. My husband didn't want me to work. He wanted to be the breadwinner, the provider. So I pretty much stayed in my apartment and didn't really meet people. Most of my neighbors were military and gone all day long, as well as my husband was gone. I basically did nothing. And at first, before we got married and he said I wouldn't have to work, I had been working since I was 17, and I was excited at the opportunity of not having to work. All I would have to do is clean the apartment, do laundry, go grocery shopping, cook the meals. That's it. The rest of the time, I would have free time to do whatever I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I didn't know anyone other than my husband. And in order for him to provide for us so that I didn't have to work, he had to work long days, long hours, take call at night and on weekends. And I never hardly saw him. Or if I did see him, he'd come home, eat dinner, and go to sleep. So I started missing home. I started missing my family. I started missing my friends. I missed my old job. All of the things that I didn't like about Indiana were the things that I missed about Indiana. And so I had to learn that I had made the decision to move away from Indiana and that I was going to make it work one way or another. Well, my husband decided, because I was a big animal lover, that he would get me a puppy. And that was supposed to satisfy me, that I would then have the puppy to take care of. Because, of course, I wanted to have babies right away. Well, we didn't have babies right away. It took over 10 years of suffering with infertility before we were blessed with our daughter. And I loved that puppy. And we've had other puppies and dogs and cats that I've loved. But I'm here to tell you, I've never loved anything or anyone as much as I loved my daughter, and still do love my daughter. But I didn't know. Nobody ever told me I would feel a loss from doing something that was good, something I wanted to do, something I was excited to do. But I would still be leaving things behind and changing my life. And in doing so, I would suffer a loss. I would have feelings of grief, depression, anxiety. I became fearful to leave my apartment because I didn't know the town. I drove very infrequently, and when I did, I would almost always have to call my husband's office and find out where I was and how to get back to the apartment, because I would work myself up in almost into a panic attack because I would get turned around. I didn't know the streets. It's funny the things that nobody tells you in life. Nobody tells you that well, just so many things nobody tells you. We don't communicate. Parents, at least in my generation growing up, they didn't communicate with me. They didn't say, okay, look, honey, these are the mistakes I made in my life, and you're going to make your own mistakes. And let me help you not make the same mistakes that I made, and maybe help you not have to make as many mistakes as I did. But nobody talked to me like that. I didn't even get the sex talk. A friend of mine at church got pregnant, unwed mother, teen mother, and this was my sex talk. My dad said, don't go around making babies, but if you do, you bring them home and we'll love them. That was it. I didn't know how babies were made, but I knew that if I made a baby, my daddy would take care of that baby. So when I had my daughter, I decided that I needed to have that talk with her about making mistakes, and that everybody does. And here are the mistakes I made, and here's the way I dealt with them. And here's things that might cause you to make a mistake. And here's how you should deal with them or could deal with them. And my daughter has turned out to be a wonderful human being. She is a third grade school teacher, elementary school teacher, and has many, many, many students who love her and look up to her. She is a wonderful wife and mother, and I'm very proud of my daughter. Will she never have heartbreak in her life? No. Will I be there to try to help her if she does have heartbreak in her life? Of course I will. But I also want her to go through life with her eyes wide open. If you look at my video about my marriage and my divorce, you'll see that in the 1960s and 70s, when I was growing up, women were not primarily in the workforce. Women had the job of being mother, wife and mother, take care of the house, take care of the children. Most men didn't want their wives to work outside the home. And so we grew up in a time where your main objective in life was to try to find a husband. Well, I had some medical issues that caused me to be a fat little girl. And all through high school, I was teased, or all through school, basically, I was teased because I was the fat kid. So I became the smart girl, the nerd. I was very opinionated and independent, and I would tell you to your face what was wrong with you. And no one ever asked me on a date. And it wasn't until I was 20 that I met the cousin of a friend and fell madly in love with him. Sad thing is, he didn't fall madly in love with me. He saw me as someone he could use and manipulate. And of course, he was the love of my life. So I allowed him to use and manipulate me. He was an alcoholic and a drug addict and a terrible, terrible human being. And he would beat me and abuse me, and I would keep going back for more. And I was with him for almost 3 years, just shy of 3 years. And when I left that relationship, I moved in next door to my husband, who I saw as my knight in shining armor. He was nothing like the abusive boyfriend. He was nice. He treated me with respect. He actually seemed to like me and just want to spend time with me. So I magically fell head over heels in love with my knight in shining armor. And I bought lock, stock, and barrel the fairy tale I was sold as a child. You're going to grow up, marry someone, have babies, a home with a white picket fence, and you would be a wife and a mother. And that was my goal in life. Well, my parents knew that being I was the fat girl, that might not happen for me. So they convinced me to go to a tech school and get an education to where I would be able to work a job that hopefully I would make enough money I could take care of myself if I never got married. How sad is that, that your parents, your own parents that are supposed to love you and support you and help you in life, pretty well sealed my fate, that I wouldn't have that fairy tale, that I was going to have a job and not a husband and a family. Well, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted that husband and family. And so, as hurt and broken and grieving and sad as I was, my husband accepted me as I was. And within 6 months to the day we met, we were married and moving out of state. Yes, it was a fairy tale. When we got to Georgia, we stayed in a motel. My husband got up the next morning, went to work, start his new job. Oh, I left that part out. The reason we were moving to South Georgia, my husband had secured a job here. And so we came with practically nothing. I think we had $300 to our name, and we had an old car and an old van, and we had our wedding presents, and my car died on the way down. And so we only made it with our beat up old van. So we really didn't come prepared, but the nice people at my husband's job helped us find an apartment, helped us find used furniture, and we were set up. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. I was trying to look at something in the YouTube studio real quick. I'm not sure why my live is not showing up in the YouTube studio. I'm on StreamYards, but for some reason it's not showing. Um, Let me check one other thing. Might help. Okay, so um, sorry about that, y'all. Like I said, I'm pretty new to this, and I had to check something. I'm gonna stay on a little bit longer, see if anybody comes by. Let me turn this over to my comments. That way, if anybody does comment, I will see it. It's going to be an interesting um, time building this channel. I go in a few other people's chats, and they have worked really hard for a long time building their channels. Most of the time, it takes over a year or longer. And so I know it won't happen overnight. I will just continue to put out content and continue to have my live streams. And hopefully, I will get some people who like my concept and like my content and possibly will watch. I tried to look to see if there were any other channels doing anything like this. And of course, I found some from 7, 8, 9 years ago. Nothing really current. And so I'm not sure if it's a good idea or a bad idea or an idea that needs to be brought back, but I'm willing to give it a try. Like I said, I do have my dog's channel, cute little Chloe the Chiweenie. I'm going to put her YouTube channel on there, and I would love it if you would subscribe to her channel. I'm going to do a live on her channel. I've already had one live, and I'm going to be doing another live on her channel next Friday night at 9:00. And I need to figure out when is a good time to go live. Most of the people that I watch, some of them go live in the daytime, some of them go live late at night, some of them aren't on hardly at all over the weekends. And so I don't know if the weekend would be a good time or if daytime would be a good time. I watch my granddaughter while my daughter works, and so I have her with me Monday through Friday. However, she does take naps, and I can do it in the evening after she leaves, or I can do it during the daytime while she's napping. I guess we'll just see once people start subscribing to the channel and we start actually having an audience, then we can determine when would be the best time to do our live broadcasts. I don't expect anyone to really show up tonight. I only have 6 subscribers. Because this is it's really new channel. I just literally put it together and got it up and running within the past couple of weeks. I wasn't going to do anything on this channel. And then I had started the dog channel, and I get some pretty nice comments and feedback on that channel. And my dog has 75 subscribers, I believe. But she also was given a community tab. And so she, so I continue to put out content on her channel. And I don't plan on monetizing her channel either. And I'll never ask for money on her channel as well. This is not about money to me. It's about sharing my life and the things that I've learned over the years and trying to help other people. And if I can't help anyone, or if no one is interested in it right now, that's okay too. I will have known that I tried, that I took the step, I put it out there, and we'll see what happens. I'm open for discussion of basically anything, as long as it is YouTube approved. You know, YouTube has rules. Can't say a lot of things. Mostly because it's trigger warnings and underage content. I have everything set to not being for children and not being for anyone under the age of 18. I do know that there are children struggling with loss and with emotional issues, mental issues, ADHD, OCD, gender identity issues, all of that. And if you are a parent of a child experiencing those issues, this channel can help you too. I can get you the information to help your child. I just learned of a young teenager that's struggling with their gender identity. They need support, just like we all do. The rate that children who are having gender identities, the rate that they are passing away is unbelievable. If you have a teenager living in your home, please have empathy and compassion dealing with that teenager. They are fragile. Their emotional state is very fragile. And it all happens so fast. A lot of parents miss the signals, miss the signs. They're not aware of what to look at, what to see, what's the difference between normal rebellion from a teenager and actual mental illness in a teenager, or, major depression in a teenager. Hopefully, we want to have relationships with our children where they are able to come to us and discuss their mental health and their emotional health and their heartbreaks and their losses and all of that. But sometimes it's easier to talk to a complete stranger. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a third party that doesn't have any skin in the game, as they say, or no dog in the fight. It's easier to speak to someone where you are listened to and you get to tell your story, and you don't have to worry about somebody saying, well, yeah, but what about the other person's point of view? What about, it's not about the other person. When your child is struggling, it's about your child and only about your child. And yes, there may be other people involved who also need help, who need empathy and compassion and love and understanding and support, but they're not your child. You can only encourage their parents to do that or to get them help. But when it comes down to you and your child, you have to be their advocate. You don't have a choice in the matter. If they're underage, we have that law for a reason, because their brains are not finished developing and they don't always make the best decisions for their lives. But it's okay if they're different. It's okay if they're like I was, the fat kid, the middle child. I was always picked on because I was overly emotional. I was overly emotional because I was diabetic and no one knew it. And I wasn't being treated for that. And I had a severe hormone imbalance as well. I had medical issues that caused me to be overweight and caused me to be overly emotional. But I was made to feel ashamed of myself. I should be able to control my eating habits and my diet. I should be able to exercise and lose weight. I actually am at my lowest weight right now in my entire life. Since I've been an adult, I was 5 pounds heavier when I gave birth to my daughter. So, did I lose the baby weight, the pregnancy weight? Nope. Will I ever? Nope. Will I learn how to live with it? Yes, I have. I try to control my diabetes, but I've also found out diabetes is not just what you eat, it's stress, it's how much sleep you get, it's if you're aggravated, depressed. A lot of factors affect your blood sugar. My infertility, infertility was caused because I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which means, in layman's terms, instead of producing an egg during my monthly cycle, I produced a cyst, a fluid-filled cyst. Therefore, there was no egg to be fertilized, and there was no egg to turn into a baby. Did I always do that? Or were there some months when I did ovulate and have an egg? Yes. That's how the miracle happened 10 years later. That one of my ovaries, because, women are born with all of their eggs when they're a baby. And as your body matures and as you go through puberty, then you start releasing those eggs, one each month, 12 a year, and probably for the next 30 or 40 years till you go through menopause. Unfortunately, when I started ovulating and having my period as a young girl, no one knew that that was a phenomenon that might happen. And it also causes weight gain, it causes insulin resistance, and it can make you infertile. So now, thank goodness, when young girls start having their periods and go through puberty, they're looked at for these problems. They are tested. They are found out if they're suffering from any of these ailments. And then they give them help. They have done studies, and all of the fertility specialists and everything, the technology has come so far that if I was to be trying to have a baby in today's world, probably wouldn't have taken me 10 years. But doing it when I was doing it back in the late 80s and 90s, yeah, it was tough. But I made it through, and I got a miracle, and I have a beautiful daughter because of it. And now she's given me a beautiful granddaughter. So, yes, I'm living my best life. I've been through tragedy, I've been through horror, but I'm still standing. And I'm here waiting and ready to talk to someone. Anyone who is brave enough to say hello, that's all I need. One person to say hello, or one person to email me. That's all I need. Let me check my email. Somebody may have emailed me. No, no one emailed me. Somebody did, or it did tell me that I was on live. So I am live. And I don't have to get up early tomorrow. So I'm going to stay on live. And I'm going to try to share my screen. I'm going to try to learn how to do some of this stuff as long as I've got this going. Um, let's see. I share screen. Okay. And I go up here. I'm going to open the tab. All right. Give me just a minute. I'm going to Canva and I'm going to see if I can pull up a video. And of course, it's taking it a minute to load. There we go. Okay, let's just try this one. I'm sorry it's taking me a minute. I'm waiting on Canva to let me load it. Here we go. Okay, it's not sharing. Let me try this. It's not sharing it. Okay, just a second. All right. So that didn't work, even though I said I was sharing my screen. So let me go back over here. Let's see what happens if I try to add it as a video clip. It's processing. But I had hoped that the share screen option would do something. Okay. Okay. All right. And then let's add the other. That was the short to just play as um, a short so that people would maybe come check out the channel kind of as a commercial or an advertisement. And then this one is living quote video. Still processing. Give it a minute, please. There we go. Oh, that's the one I already had. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Let's try that again, please. Maybe I'll get chapter 1 of my divorce. Da, 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 da. Oh. Okay. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Where's chapter 1? Huh. Okay, let's go up here. Well, I'll be doggone. That's not letting me pull that up. Okay. Let's see if I can do it from here. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Okay. Okay. Can't do it that way. All right. So I'm just playing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to try to do this. And I'm going to try to download it again. And then maybe I'll be able to pull it up. Okay. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Uh, Video. Okay. Now, let's see. No. Okay. Oh, I know what I have to do. Hold on. I'm forgetting a step. I have to go into the YouTube studio to be able to download the video. Okay. Got it. Got it. And I'm going to go ahead and download chapter 2 as well when I get in here and I finally can do it. And only about your child. And yes, there may be other people involved who also need help. We need empathy, compassion, and love and understanding and support. But they're not your child. You can only encourage their parents to do that or to get them help. But when it comes down to you and your child, you have to be their advocate. You don't have a choice in the matter. If they're underage, we have that law for a reason. Because their brains are not finished developing. They don't always make the best decisions. They don't always make the best decisions. They're people to heal from their hurts. And some of them are people to heal from their hurts. And some of them are people to heal from their hurts. And some of them are people to heal from their hurts. Okay, hopefully I did this right, and let's see what happens. I'm going to try to download it again so that I can play it. I do apologize for. There we go. There's chapter 1. Okay. And now let me get chapter 2. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. Chapter. Okay. And then chapter 2. And I think I said in my on my community post that as I was working on chapter 3 ended up becoming 3 parts because there was so much to tell y'all. And then as I continued to work on chapter 3, it was like a light bulb went off. And I said, grief, loss doesn't just happen with divorce. It happens with so many major life events, so many tragedies and horrors. And that's when the channel grew from just going to be about help with divorce to trying to be help for people facing any kind of loss, any kind of grief. So that was a slight shift and broadened the category a little bit. But I think it's going to be helpful. I think it will reach more people, and more people will be able to realize that we do have grief and loss. We suffer loss from things other than just a death of a loved one. Now, a death of a spouse is more final than the ending of my marriage was. because I still see my ex-husband now that we have a daughter and a granddaughter to co-parent and co-grandparent. I am in a situation where I have to be cordial and civil to him and his new wife, so that my daughter and granddaughter can have a healthy relationship with them. And we now have quite the blended family. And I am welcome in their home, and they are welcome in mine. And we shared the baby's birth. We shared the baby's first birthday party. They are actually here this weekend. And so they will be spending time with my grandbaby. And then we will go to their home for Thanksgiving. The week of Thanksgiving, my daughter will be out, and we will go. And it will be fine. I like his wife. And now that I've forgiven the two of them for what happened, what ended my marriage, and I've actually looked back on my marriage, and I can actually say that even though I didn't feel like there were any issues or any problems, he was my best friend, and I would want him to be happy, and I would want the best for him. And so I had to release that anger and bitterness, not only for myself, but for him as well, and mainly for my daughter and granddaughter. So I'm Granny and Mama, and he's Daddy, Grandpa, she's Nana, and we have a beautiful family. We still have family. And that's one of the things that when you go through a divorce, so many people poison their children against their spouse because they are so angry and devastated at what's going on. Now, my daughter was 17 when my husband left, and she was old enough and had a close enough relationship to us that she knew there were no problems. And I didn't have to tell her anything. She already knew the situation. And she was right there beside me the entire time, providing as much strength and support and comfort as a 17-year-old can. And then when she met her husband and fell in love, I wanted the best for them, but I wanted her to go into it with her eyes wide open. And I wanted her to know that you don't need a man in your life to complete you. You are a complete human being on your own. Yes, we love them. We fall in love. We want to have a husband and a life partner, and that's all wonderful. But if that ever changes, the relationship you have with your daughter, your flesh and blood, is the relationship you need to take most care to protect. But allow her to have a relationship with her dad, no matter good, bad, or indifferent. I love my son-in-law like a son. He's very respectful to me. He has been the man of our family since he met my daughter. He's basically stepped up into that role with all of us, and he's a good husband. He's a good provider. He's a good dad. He's a great son-in-law. Believe me, I looked for flaws. I looked for cracks in their relationship. I didn't trust him. And it wasn't his fault. There was nothing he ever did that made him untrustworthy. It was me. It was my hurt, my pain. And he's a smart man. He realized he wasn't going to win any fights with me over my ex, and that he was best to just accept the fact that we were no longer together and be there to comfort my daughter as she would need him to be. And at one point, he had my back physically. If something had went down, he was going to step between us and take whatever physical whatever had to happen physically. Since I have forgiven my ex and we are now this wonderful blended family, I don't think he has to worry about anything like that ever happening. Life's been long. I will be 60 in January the 15th. I will be 60 years old, and I can tell it. I can tell it. Life has not been easy. Life definitely has not been fair to me. I've had many illnesses and injuries and surgeries and setbacks and heartbreaks and I've had everything from career change to abusive boyfriends to narcissistic mother to death, divorce, forgiveness. I've had it all. I've done it all. And now I just want the chance to be able to help someone else, to try to possibly help someone else find their way, help them find that healing path to bring them out of the darkness and out of the pain and into the light so they can live their best life as well. I hope I'm not sounding like a broken record. It's hard to have a one-way conversation. Believe me, it's very difficult. It's always easier when you have someone to talk to instead of feeling like you're talking at a blank computer screen. I think the other channels that I go to that most of my YouTube friends go to are also live right now. And I would never disrupt that. I would never go in and announce the fact that I was live. If anybody wanders over and wants to give my channel a listen, I appreciate it. I do not expect it. Like I said, I'm doing this to complete my healing process. I'm doing this to help others. And in turn, I will finish healing myself. Now, what can I offer? Can I offer you? Advice? Yes. Information? Facts? Yes. I can walk you through how to get a divorce, the different types of divorce. And I will do videos on different things like that. I've been trying to compile some good divorce quotes, and not just divorce, healing quotes. Your calm mind is your ultimate weapon against your challenges. When you get upset and you're like in a pressure cooker and time bombs fixing to explode in your head, you can't think straight. You cannot solve the problem before you. But if you can keep your mind calm, then you have a weapon to use against whatever is challenging you. Here's a good one. We must let go of the life we had planned so as to accept the one that is waiting for us. My fairy tale plan didn't work out. I'm not saying that the 29 years we were together were not good years of marriage. I had a great life. I thought I did, at least. I didn't know my husband wasn't happy. I don't know how long my husband wasn't happy. From what I've been able to determine, he talked to his current wife for approximately 5 months before he walked away from me and went to her. Now, it was easy to hate her at first, the other woman. Um, and of course, I had her as this young, beautiful, thin, uh, beauty queen type person. And the thing about that is, why would she, if that was true and that's what she was, why would she want my husband? Of all the men in the world, I'm not saying that in a negative light against my husband. I'm just saying, if you could have any man in the world, wouldn't you want a younger man, at least one closer to your age? Wouldn't you want one that still would be able to give you children, wouldn't be fixing to retire and be on a limited fixed income? I mean, none of it made sense. But when I met her, guess what? She's overweight. She's actually older than I am. She didn't really have a whole lot financially when you met her. Through some inheritance and investments, they've done quite well for themselves. However, that wasn't the case when they met. They had a hard time. They had to struggle. But she wasn't a beauty queen. She's a beautiful person, don't get me wrong, inside and out. She is beautiful. And I am so glad that he's got her in his life, because he's going to get old and he's going to need somebody to take care of him. And she happens to be a nurse, which is a plus. But it was very easy to say, I did nothing wrong. The whole marriage, everything was perfectly fine, and it was all his fault, and that he got lured away by another woman. But that wasn't the case. Somewhere along the lines, my husband's life did not turn out the way he thought it was going to turn out. And I don't know what parts of it were not what he wanted. I know he didn't like his job. I know he had injured his back and was wanting to stop working, which he could have done that with me as well. So I don't quite understand, but maybe he didn't think he would be, that I would want him if that was the case. I don't know. We've not had the conversation for me to know, or even if I ever will have a conversation to try to understand what, he was thinking. But rest assured, I will tell you, it was not a choice that he left me for another woman who was younger, prettier, richer, any of those things, that it's so easy to convince yourself. And if she and I had met under different circumstances, we would have definitely been very close friends. And we are very good friends. And we are co-grandparents to our granddaughter and co-parents to my daughter, our daughter. And life is good, just like that. Now, did that happen overnight? No. Did it take several years? Yes. Did it take me reaching out and contacting her and putting my guard down and welcoming her to the family and encouraging her to be a part of the baby's life? Yes. Do I have regrets? No. She wasn't able to have children of her own, so she understands the fertility issues. She also is beyond blessed to have my daughter in her life and now to have a grandbaby in her life. She makes that baby a priority in her life. She's still working. My ex is retired, but she makes sure when she can get time off, she can spend it with that grandbaby and with my daughter. So was there a silver lining in the tragedy of my divorce? Yes, I would say there definitely was. Did I know it at the time? Definitely not. Did I believe it was possible? Never. Was my heart broken because he left, definitely. Was my heart just crushed because I found out he was with someone else? It's like the ultimate betrayal. He and I had both had previous bad relationships before we got together. And when we got together, we promised each other that if ever things were not working in our relationship, we would end our relationship and we would then move on and meet someone else. But we would not meet someone and leave each other for someone else. And that's exactly what he did. So it was more of a betrayal. He not only devastated my world, he broke my daughter's heart as well, and flat out lied. And he went against his promise. I mean, he definitely went against his marriage vows, but he definitely went against that promise. So, how do you forgive someone who isn't sorry? It's difficult. How do you allow someone to have part of your heart again in the form of your child and your grandchild? It takes a big person. It takes a lot of soul searching, a lot of growth. But I'm happy to say I've made it. I'm at that point now in my life. And when I say I'm living my best life, that doesn't mean I don't have problems by any means. Doesn't mean that I don't struggle, that some days I'm not in my feelings, that some days I hate everything about my life. What it means is that every day I also make the choice to live my best life. I can only control so many aspects of my life, and the main one being how I react to what I have to deal with. And I choose to react as positively as possible. I choose to be a friend. I choose to help others. I choose to love with my whole heart. Even the broken, damaged corners of my heart. My little granddaughter came into my life at a time when I needed someone to love. And she has taught me that our capacity to love can only be multiplied. And it doesn't matter how many times your heart has been broken, you can heal that heart and you can become full of love. Your heart will mend and will be able to love and love wholeheartedly. I'm a big fan of Brene Brown and her um, work on wholehearted living. What does it mean to be vulnerable? What does it mean to be courageous? That's what I could do. Hold on. I can find some of her quotes. Okay. In order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it and not how you imagine their experience to be. Brene Brown. Now, That's one thing that the mentors on this channel will have to be able to do. We're going to be a non-judgmental third party with no skin in the game, no dog in the fight. We will be supporting our viewer, and we will be believing their story as they tell us. Every story has two sides, and then it has the truth. But we're not here to get to the truth. And we're not here to defend the other person. We are here to do exactly what this says, to empathize with the person who is hurting and broken. Integrity, choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. Brene Brown. Now, integrity is very important to me, and I will not have mods on this channel who I don't believe share that integrity. This will not be a place of gossip or rumor. You will not take the information you might learn from a fellow viewer and use it in any way to hurt that person. And I want everyone to be anonymous on this channel. I don't need to know your name or where you're from or if, what your situation is. I only need to know what hurt you, what broke you, and what I can do to help you heal. And that's what our moderators will do as well. They will not ask you prying questions, and they will not say, well, did you ever think about the way the other person felt in the situation? This is not about the other person. This is about you and your chance to heal. Embark on your next ocean voyage with Viking. Our readers have that's an all right. I thought it was one of her quotes. It was actually a commercial. Okay. Every single person has a story that will break your heart. And if you're paying attention, many people have a story that will bring you to your knees. Nobody rides for free. Brene Brown. No matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. Brene Brown. Some days, all we can accomplish is getting up out of the bed and hopefully eating a sandwich and going back to bed. Other days, we can accomplish 10 things on our to-do list, but not every day is that day. Joy comes to us in ordinary moments. We risk missing out when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. Brene Brown. Okay. You have to stop and smell the roses, as they say. Eat the cake, buy the shoes, spend that time with yourself, spend money on yourself. Whatever you can do to feel an ounce of joy in your struggle, in your heartbreak, in your pain, that's what you need to do, no matter what that might be. Sometimes for me, it's a large Dairy Queen ice cream cone dipped in the chocolate. I shouldn't have it. I crave it. And sometimes I give in and I enjoy one. Fitting in is becoming who you think you need to be in order to be accepted. Belonging is being your authentic self and knowing that no matter what happens, you belong to you. Brene Brown. Now, going back to my childhood as the fat girl, the fat child, um, I understand exactly what that means. There's a big difference between fitting into the crowd and belonging to yourself. I today belong solely to myself. And there's no group of people right now that I would change myself to fit into their group. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm in a chat and I make a comment and no one acknowledges me and no one acknowledges the comment. And yeah, it does burn my butt a little bit. But is it important enough to call anybody on? Is it important enough to make a big issue out of it? Nope. I just go ahead and acknowledge the other people in the chat and comment on their comments and go on about my day. Because I'm not trying to fit into their world. I'm just trying to belong in my world. These are so good to me. Okay. This is a good one. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. They become habit. Watch your habits. They become character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. Careful what you tell yourself because you'll believe yourself. We cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions. Brene Brown. Exactly. You can be, as the song goes, comfortably numb. You don't feel a thing. You don't feel the good, and you definitely don't feel the bad. But what is that? Is that living or is that existing? I don't want to just exist. I want to live my best life, and I want to do it right now, today. And I choose to do that. What we don't need in the midst of struggle is shame for being human. Exactly. We are all human. Sometimes the bravest and most important thing you can do is just show up. Just like tonight, I showed up. I've been on here now almost 2 hours. I don't know if I've had anybody watch any of my program or not. That doesn't matter. What matters is I showed up. I came here with an intention of delivering my message, and I've done that. And I feel good about it. I'm here to get it right, not be right. Brene Brown. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. Amen, sister. That's hard to do, but it's very necessary. If we share our shame story with the wrong person, they can easily become one more piece of flying debris in an already dangerous storm. If we share our shame story with the wrong person, they can easily become one more piece of flying debris in an already dangerous storm. That's very deep, Miss Brene Brown. Doesn't mean don't share your story. Just pick and choose carefully. Shame is the most powerful master emotion. It's the fear that we're not good enough. Brene Brown. Exactly. When my husband left, I missed one day of work, went on and worked the entire next year without any of my coworkers knowing I was even having an issue with my husband. I moved during that time. No one knew that either. Why? I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I didn't want people to know my husband left me for another woman. And then one day when my divorce was final, I forgot it would be in the newspaper. I forgot people would find out. So then my coworkers, one by one, said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I was sorry to hear about your divorce, you know." And I realized I could have had comfort the entire year from the women that I worked with, but I wasn't able to let them in. And so we would sit in the break room and we would discuss life. And come to find out, most every woman I worked with had had some sort of bad relationship, bad breakup, divorce, abuse situation, something in their life that I never knew about. But they could have shared that and they could have helped me through my pain and struggle. So don't be afraid and don't be ashamed, but especially don't be afraid to share. Find someone who you can trust. You never know who's been through what until somebody actually talks about their life. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that no one chatted and that no one wanted to come up on panel, although I didn't really offer that. I will have open panels from time to time as people are strong enough and want to do that. But it's almost 11 p.m. my time, and I started my day very early with my granddaughter this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I don't know when my next live will be. If you're already subscribed to the channel, you'll get a notification. Please visit my channel often for updated videos and information and posts to the community tab. And thank you. If you're one of the ones that subscribe, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And please like the video or give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either one will help get the videos out into the algorithm. So for tonight and for living my best life, good night. See you next time.